Hi there, Jess Nelson here, and we're going to do some Pilates brought to you by the YMCA of Greater Michiana. Today for class, all you're going to need is a foam roller. You want this foam roller to be long enough so that you can support your whole body from tail to head once we get on that down here. So other than that, we just need you ready to go. So we're going to find our nice position here on the mat. Feet are planted under the ankles, which are stacked under the knees. Hips aren't jutted out. They're not kind of hiked back or side to side. Just kind of nice neutral position here. Rib cage nestled over those hips. Rolling those shoulders back and down. Loosen up the neck a little bit. And here we are. Let's start like we often do with a couple deep breaths just to bring us into the moment here. So we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhale up, exhale down. Last one here. Inhale up and exhale down. We're going to start a little different than what we usually do. A lot of times we'll just run right into a warm-up, but today I want to go ahead and do a little bit of foam rolling and kind of just prepare the tissue, kind of get everything loosened up, and then we'll warm up and then we'll roll into our workout. So come on down to your mat, bringing your roller with you. And we're going to start just by rolling out some big muscle groups. So we'll come down, put the roller right under the back of our legs, pop ourselves up on it and kind of sit on the edge. So our upper body needs a little bit of strength. This class isn't going to be a beginner's class. This is kind of I'd say it's intermediate because you're going to need upper body strength to support you throughout this whole class. So if you've got shoulder issues, wrist issues, things that really prohibit you from staying on all fours for a long time or being in a reverse plank type position for a long time, maybe skip this one and pick one of the other ones that are a little less intensive on the upper body. We're just going to roll back and forth from the gluteal fold, right where the glutes meet the legs, until we hit the knee. We don't roll over the knee joint or under the knee joint, as it were. So we're just kind of rolling. We can open the legs and close the legs. Just kind of evening it all out. And then we'll take it down, and we'll do the same thing with our calves. Popping your hips up off the ground. Just roll. Again, you can open and close the legs. If you find a spot that's stuck, kind of like a little knot there, you can hang in it. If you need a little bit more pressure, you can cross one leg over the other and do that. The intensity of your roller is going to make a difference. If you have a nice soft melt roller brand, those are a little bit more forgiving. Some of these harder rollers are a little bit more intense. So just find the pressure that's right for your body right now. All right, and then we're going to pop it up and take it behind the back. And right about at the bra line for you ladies out there. For you men, you will just line it up right underneath your armpits. You're going to nestle your head, cradle your head in your hands, your little hammock hands, and just open up over the roller and feel it loosening in the front of the body. Should feel pretty nice. And then just come back through. We'll just do a couple of these. Each time you might get a little bit more extension, a little bit more opening. We're never pressing through to pain. Should just feel really nice. Finding that neutral back position, we're going to roll over into our armpit. And this is going to help loosen up some of the pec muscles and where they attach here. So we're just going to roll into the roller and just kind of feel the pressure and those ropey tendons in the armpit there, and you can kind of push into it a little bit, maybe roll a little bit, but that feels good, and then flip it back over, and we'll do that on the other side. So we're coming back through to center, rolling over to the other armpit until you nestle your armpit in and feel the release in those tendons coming off the pec muscles. It can be a static push here, or you can even, like I said, just roll a little bit with it. Coming back through center, we're going to come up and we're going to flip over now. And we're going to take this roller and roll out the front of our legs now. So we got the hamstrings in the back, we got to get the quads in the front. So this one, you're going to have it start right about where your hips meet your legs, and then you just kind of do this nice little scoot forward until you hit the knee, and stop before you get to the knee, and then push back. Remembering to breathe. Don't hold your breath through any of this. Big, deep breaths. We're not going to roll the whole body. We're just doing a couple targeted sections here before we get going. And there we are. So that'll do for now. And we're going to go ahead and take this roller out of the way for just a moment. And we're going to do some cat-cows. So we'll come onto all fours. We've got our knees under our hips, our wrists under our shoulders, and our fingers are spread nice and wide, long line from head to tail. On an inhale, we're going to let the belly hang and let the the head and the tail come up behind us, pushing into the mat with our arms. And then on the exhale, we arch the spine. Head and tail come under for the cat. We'll just do 2 or 3 more of these at our own pace, following our breathing pattern. Inhale one way, exhale the other. If my suggestion didn't work for you, just do the opposite. Just don't go fast. Take this time and really enjoy the stretch in both directions. You've committed this hour to yourself, so make the most of it. 1 more in each direction. And then settle that on into neutral. From here, we're still pushing into the mat. There's some activation and energy in the shoulders and the arms. And we're going to let the left foot float up off the mat. The knee stays planted. And we're going to wag that tail out to the side. So we look at that little pinky toe out to the left side. And then cross it along the center line of the body. Now we're looking at the big toe on the right side. And we'll just do this 2 or 3 times. Again, following our breath. Inhaling one direction, exhaling the other. Feeling the stretch and activation along the muscles all along both sides of our body. We got front and back with cat-cow. Now we're getting left and right with these tail wags. All right, let that foot float back down to the mat. Other foot floats up and we do the same sequence. Wagging it left to right, gaze follows. Crunching one side, opening the other. All of this should feel pretty groovy this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in your day. Just starting to get the body moving. Last one here. Set that back. Let's take some pressure off those wrists, send the hips back over the heels. Take the hands and stretch them out far on your mat. Forehead comes down to the mat. You can flip the palms to the sky to get even more relief on those wrists. Deep breath here. Let's do one more thing before we go into a little bit more intense work. We didn't do any rotation of the spine, so let's do a waving cat. I like to move us in all directions just so our body kind of knows what's coming. So coming back up through to all fours, we're going to let that left hand come up off the mat. We're twisting at the torso. Our hips are staying pointed down to the mat. So we're going to just twist, let that chest open to the left side, and then bring it back down. Twisting to the right, right hand comes up. It's not about how high you can get that hand. It's about just what the natural range of motion is in that torso as you twist. Keeping the knees planted. One more on each side here. Last one. And from here, we're going to transition to lying on our back, but we need our roller before we get to that. So we're going to bring our roller along, and we're going to get on that roller long ways. So we're going to want to make sure once we get on this roller, we kind of start at the bottom. So we sit on the bottom of the roller, and then when we come down, you're going to want to make sure your head is fully supported. So if you have to do a little bit of a scoot down, go ahead and do that. And just test where you are, right? You don't want to be rolling off to one side. You don't want to feel awkward. This should be a pretty comfortable position, and it should feel pretty good right now, just opening up the chest, just lying here, straightening out, little micro adjustments. So your feet are going to stay anchored through this next sequence. So you can find a comfortable position, whether it's a little bit closer to your bottom, maybe a little bit farther away, but those feet are going to be firmly planted, and I want you to think about all four corners of the feet planted into the ground so that you still get some activation. We want to work as efficiently as possible throughout the whole body today. Hands come up behind the head, thumbs are right at the base of the skull. We can see those elbows in the peripheral vision. If you guys take any of my classes, all of these things are like, oh my gosh, I can't hear it one more time. But that's the whole point. Once you get it ingrained, you're going to have such effective and efficient movements, and you're going to be targeting all the right muscles. So before we get to doing any moving, I want you to gather up that pelvic floor. So those are all the muscles that you would clench in to not let the urine pass, right? So clenching in the pelvic floor. Then I want you to think that you have a belt all around your waist or a corset. And then you've got to kind of pull and hug that in. So now you've got some activation along the midsection. You've got that pelvic floor pulled in. And then when we float up the upper body, you're going to feel activation all along the front of your stomach here too. So come on up. Exhale as you float it up. And then bring it back down, setting one bone at a time from your spine back down on the roller. Same thing coming up. Activate all of that core, that midsection. All of those muscles are engaged, and as we exhale, we peel our upper body up off that roller one bone at a time. Not losing any length, we set it all back down. You should start to feel a little bit of action going on, right? That's the point. We're trying to connect the mind to the muscles, so that way, when we go through the rest of these sequences, we're firing all the right places to help build strong, long, lean muscles throughout our body. And those strong, long, lean muscles help us walk through life with confidence. Last one here. We're going to try to peel it up even a centimeter more. So come on up, bring it up. Make sure you can take a big breath here. Exhale, and then bring it back down. All right, we're going to roll to one side, remove that roller for a moment. So we're going to roll over. Next, we're going to activate those deep hip flexor muscles. So we have these beautiful muscles that attach back to our lumbar spine, our lower spine from the inside, and they run down through our hips and then attach right here on the inside of our femurs. And so those are those muscles that really help us fold at the waist. We also have a lot of helper flexors here. Those like to take over. So we want to train these deep muscles. So here's a little trick that we're going to use to activate those. I feel like I keep moving my mat closer to the wall. All right, so this is going to be a little bit awkward if we're not used to it. We're going to come up on this roller on our knees. We're going to come down to the elbows in like a little child's pose position almost, a modified child's pose position. So nice long back. And in this position, we're going to activate the core, but what I want you to think about doing is I want to bring one knee at a time, like I'm trying to bring it up to my chest, but it's not going to move because we're going to keep it still, but that's going to help you find those deep psoas muscles. So we bring that knee in, each side. Again, you won't really see anything, but you should feel stuff happening in your stomach, deep within your core, as you try to bring one knee forward and then bring the other knee forward on that roller. If it's not working for you, don't get frustrated. Just slow down, take a deep breath. And it's a subtle, subtle activation. One more on each side. And then slowly come off that roller. And we'll go back onto our back. So the whole whole point of that was to try to find those deep hip flexors because we're going to want to use them in this next little movement sequence. So I came up with this one the other day because I wanted to have fun and this seemed like a whole lot of fun. So we're going to set this roller between our ankles. So between our feet, right? So it's like the arches of our feet and we're kind of holding on to that. The other part of it is in our hands. So we've got one end in the feet, one end in the hands. Legs are nice and long. Make sure I'm not going to hit the wall here. Check your surroundings before we get going. All right, so remember those deep hip flexors we tried to find? So we're gonna hug in that whole midsection. We're holding on to each end of the roller. And I'm gonna let you use momentum the first time to get up. So go ahead and just use some momentum to come up into a little seesaw. Feel what that's like. Now I want you to take momentum out of the game. So you're squeezing each end of the roller and you're squeezing in on that midsection. And you're using that. It's like a roll-up or a teaser if you've done those in Pilates before. You're using those deep core muscles to pull you up. Without momentum, it's a lot more work. I cheated. I used some momentum there. Watch yourself. It's okay to cheat. Try to get some success, but then try to take away momentum and really make it about your muscles. And just play with this for a few minutes. Not even a few minutes. We'll do a couple more reps. Oh, but really dig deep for these. Pull the belly button to the spine. One more. Last one here. Oh, there it is. All right. So that was a fun way, I think, to find those deep muscles. So that way we're kind of really dialing into those really structural muscles that help us stay upright and healthy through life. So let's go ahead and transition to some things that are a little bit more familiar to us. So we're going to pop our hips up. Roller comes under our sacrum, our tailbone there. We're going to test to find the right position. You might have to maneuver a little bit here and settle in to where you can bring your legs up straight to the sky. Let's start with feet flexed. Your hands can be either out to a T or a Y on the side, or they can be right here on the ends of your rollers. Just be mindful that your collarbones stay wide and they're not kind of rolling up and into each other. Everything's engaged in the midsection to keep us stable here. So we've got that belt around our waist tightened up, we've got that pelvic floor engaged, and we've got those front abdominals there doing some work too. So feet are flexed and we're gluing the legs together. We're gonna lower the legs away and then bring them back up. Watch what's going on in your midsection. If you start to feel like you're really popping that belly up, you're going too far. Tighten it up and keep it stable as the legs go away. We're really using that muscle group we talked about. It's flexing those legs right back up. So think deep, deep, low, low for the muscle groups that you want to use. Two more here. Last one. And just point and flex those feet, roll the ankles for a minute. You might even want to rotate in and out those legs at the hip socket if that feels good. Next one, we're going to point the toes and we're just going to be big giant scissor legs. So this is like our single straight leg stretch when we're doing our Pilates series of 5. So in this one, I want you to focus on the leg that's coming to your face. So the one that's going away, sure, we're going to reach and do all the beautiful stuff. But I really want you to think, can I pull this any closer to my face, keeping the core solid, and then snip them the other way. So that's one set. We're going to do 8 of these. 2, reaching nice and long. 3, 4, remember to breathe. 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Back up through center. Take a little break. Maybe you want to bend your knees for a moment. Next, we're going to do bicycle legs. So what that looks like, we're going to go one direction and then the other. So one leg swoops out like it's going to go brush along the mat. The other knee comes toward the face, right? So we're riding a big old bicycle. Making big, exaggerated movements. Reaching the legs long when they stretch out. Trying to keep the legs as close together as possible and not letting them flop out to the outsides of the body. If it's too much, don't touch the mat. You want that solid core here. That's your focus. We're keeping that stable and the legs are our distraction. We're still getting a lot of work here. Now we're going to bring them back up and we're going to go the opposite way. So now the knee that bends to the face is going to stay bent as we sweep it down to the mat and we ride that bicycle in reverse. Remembering to breathe, remembering to keep the collarbones wide, keeping the legs as close together as possible. There's a lot to think about. That's why we have that mind-body connection in Pilates. There's not a lot of room for us to wander. Otherwise, we get sloppy. Whew. There we are. We're done with bicycle legs. We've got 2 more sequences here in this position. The next one we're going to do is we're going to turn our feet out. So our heels are together, our toes are turned out. And we're just going to cross and beat, cross, cross, as we lower the legs. Again, keeping all of this stable and then bringing them back up. Remembering to breathe, keeping those legs nice and long as they just kind of dance around each other as you lower and then as you bring them back up to the sky. Let's do one more lower and reach and then back up. And take a little break. We've got one more thing here and then we'll get off this roller in this position. So again, turning the toes out, gluing the heels together, we're going to do frog legs, keeping the core engaged, collarbones wide, as if you had something that you were pinching right between those feet that you don't want anyone to take from you, from those heels. You're going to slowly bring those heels down to the pubic bone, so that lowest bony point here between our legs, and then resist and push it back up toward the ceiling. You can just go through the motions and it'll be okay. But if you really think about resisting it up and resisting it down, you're going to feel a lot of good stuff happening in your body. You're going to be building strength and stability. And I'm not here to judge what you're here to do. If you just need to move your body and this feels good to just do it without dialing it in too much, or maybe you've got issues where you can't dial it in that much, you listen to your body. You do what's best for you right now. One more. Last one here. Make it your best one. And up. And it might feel good to just let those legs open up for a minute. There was a lot of work on those inner thighs with those frog legs. And then when you're ready, those feet come back down to the mat, pop the hips up, roll that roller out of the way, and we are done with that little sequence. And we're going to move on over to our stomachs. All right, so flipping on over, we're going to have that roller nearby. Coming on down, face down. It's a little bit of a tight space for me, but we'll make it work. We want to be able to reach your body out long. And we're going to have our hands on the roller. So thumbs are up toward the sky, pinkies are down. We're going to reach our body long, and we're going to have our nose down in the mat. Walk those legs away. Activate the core. And from here, we're going to push into the roller with our forearms, coming up into our little swan, bringing the roller toward us. And then as we come back down, the roller goes away. and up. Feeling the activation all along the back and down. Inhaling one direction, exhaling the other. Whichever feels best in your body is the one for you. This is just kind of helping us get ready for a little bit more intense work. I like to build up. All right. So bringing that down here, we're going to go for a little swim with our roller. So what that's going to look like, it's a very controlled swim. We're going to float up the upper body, float up the legs. So now both quads are floated up off the mat. And we're going to hold this. Neck is in line with our spine. We're not arching it up or down. And then we're going to take the left hand and the right leg and put them up a little bit higher and reach them. Bring those down. Opposite pair, high and reach. So this is our swim. We're staying up in this back extension while we do 8 sets. Sorry, Ninja Turtle, I didn't mean to punch you in the face. But here we are. We're halfway there. Reach. Obviously, a nice long spot for you is going to be better. This is the space I have today, so this is what we're working with. One more on each side. And then bring it down. Might be a good time to push back into a child's pose to take some relief off that low back. So reaching the hips back over the heels. Stretch it out. And keeping with doing things a little bit differently, we're going to do things a little bit differently. So for this next one, we're going to put our knees back on that roller, making sure that we're in that good alignment still. Arms are planted firmly. We're not dipped into our shoulders, but we're pushing away, and we've got both knees on this roller. What we're going to do is make sure our core is engaged, and then we're going to shift our weight to the right knee just a little bit so we can keep our balance. Let that left knee come off, flex the foot, and we're gonna, like we're closing a trap door behind us. So this is the glute and the hamstring doing a lot of work to pick that leg up for 8 counts. That was 3, 4. All the while, the rest of the body is working really hard to keep you stable and balanced on that other leg, right? We got 2 more. And then we're holding it up and we're pulsing for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it here. And now it's a tiny little micro pulse. I'm not going to see anything, but you're clenching that butt cheek for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring it down. If you need to, pause right now and take some pressure off that wrist. But if you're okay, come on with me and let's do the other side. Everything's engaged. We've got beautiful stability in the body. And we're lifting, closing that trap door behind us and lowering. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up at the top here now, we're going to go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it, and now it's that tiny little pulse, squeezing the glute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring it down, and we can come off that roller, sit back, and let's roll the wrist. So we're going to make sure we get some relief on those wrists. All right. This one is a combo bonus move. Not only do we get some good work out of it, but we get to roll our shins. So we get a little bit of relief on our shins, right? So we got to look at the positive too. So we're coming back onto this roller, and what we're going to do, so we're going to have to make ourselves a little bit wider because we're going to bring it up, and we're going to bring those knees up between our hands and then take the roller away. So we're going to start with our shoulders over our wrists. Knees are kind of back, almost into like a knee plank. And we're going to engage that core, and we're going to think about this all coming from the core. Try to take your legs away. So that's kind of a weird notion, but I want you to think about if you had, I don't even have a good analogy for you. Maybe if there was an elevator that started right at your pelvic floor and you were trying to bring that elevator back all the way up to your midsection, up through your diaphragm into your lungs, okay? Weird thing, but that's going to bring your legs forward, and then you're going to release them and let them go back. So whatever you can do to take the work into your midsection, it's those deep hip flexor muscles that we were talking about that bring those legs in, up through the middle of your arms and back. We want 3 more good ones here. Nice and slow. And 2. Last one. And 1. Bring it back. That was kind of crappy when I did at the end there, but my wrist started to hurt. So make sure you take all the times that you need to release those wrists. It's a lot of work on them. Like I said, this isn't for the faint of heart, this class today. So if you've hung with me this far, thanks for staying. Take care of yourself. It's good to push yourself, but you always take care of yourself first. All right. Okay, so now we're going to have the roller up here in our hands. We had it under our knees for a while. And if you do have really bad wrist issues, just ditch the roller for this next one and just go down on fists to do some of this stuff. But if you can, and you can tolerate it, we're going to be here with our knees under our hips. Our hands are on the roller, and we're hanging right here. First thing I want to do is just get those scapula moving, those shoulder blades. So I want you to think about taking the center of your chest and keeping your arms straight. The elbows aren't locked out, but they're nice and long. And you're just going to squeeze your shoulder blades together and then take them away and retract. Protract and retract is what we're doing. This is actually the retract right here when we dip. And then the protract is when we push away. Sometimes I get my words wrong, but you know what I mean. And if you don't, I'll try to clarify. You can always ask me. I know you can't ask me in the moment, but you know how to find me on Facebook. Just hit me up. Couple more. All right, settle that back in. We got one more sequence here. If you need to take that break on the wrist, do it. If you're not, if you're good, let's go. So now we're just going to bend at the elbows. The elbows are going to come in to tuck into our rib cage, and we're going to aim the chest right at the roller. So we're coming down into a tricep push-up. Chest touches the roller, and then we push back away. We're doing 8 of these. That was 1, 2, 3, core's engaged, 4, 5, 6, 7, last one, 8. Oh, definitely time to push back and take the relief on those wrists. And we're going to move to standing and get off those wrists altogether. So come on up to standing. We're going to take that roller, and it's going to come between our ankles. So you might have to pop it up a little bit, and it's just above the ankle joint, and you're squeezing it in the legs. And what that's doing is giving us that activation on the inner thigh. So from here, we're going to do some squats. So make sure that roller is nice and snug between your legs. And when we do our squats, we don't go over right where the knees come out over the toes. We send the butt back. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can kind of see what that looks like. So we're going to come down Send the rear back, hands come up. We can still see those toes, right? And we're squeezing that roller. We're doing 8, 7, 6, nice and slow, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to hold it down here. We're going to shift our weight to our heels so we can feel our toes pop off. And we're going to scoot our butt down, push our butt down toward the mat for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift the weight to the front of the feet. And now we're popping the butt up. And we're going for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Placing all 4 corners of the foot down. Nice even engagement. Squeezing that roller and holding for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly pushing up through to standing. Whew. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of work. Let's stretch out those quads. So we're gonna use the roller for balance. Pop that foot behind, keep those knees as close together as we can, and just pull until we feel a good stretch. Whew. Make sure we get both sides. Nice deep breaths here. And then we're going to do a bit of a standing lunge. Yep. So I'm going to go this way. So we've done the lunge where we come down into that 90-90 kind of positioning. But today I want to try where we come forward, standing nice and tall first. We're going to lunge and bring it back. We're going to do 8 on each side. So you can alternate if you want, or you can do one side and then the other. I'm going to stick to one side. I feel like that gives you the opportunity to really kind of find your balance and find your flow. So here we go. Let's start. Nice core engaged, shoulders down. And there's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Other side. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now we did our quad stretch before. Let's stretch it out. Put one foot forward and just kind of bend into it and get the hamstring stretch on that one. Our roller is a nice prop for balance here. And then bring that through, and let's do both sides. And back. Now we're going to do a little bit of standing leg work, again using that roller as our balance tool. So we're going to find ourselves positioned where we can shift our weight into our left foot. We're not locking that knee out, but we feel like we got a nice tight pair of tights on, pulling all those muscles up and in, taking the pressure off the knee. We're going to shift the weight to that side of the body just a little bit, just enough, and we're going to hold our hand right here so we can see that we're not hiking the hip up to get the height on the leg, but really it's about these muscles here on the side leg. So coming into that position now, it's a lot to think about. We're just going to slide that foot out and let it come back in. Again, that hip isn't moving yet. And 2 and 3, the foot stays flexed. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 sets of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we are going to crunch into that side body. So this hand comes up overhead. If you need to shake it out on that leg for a minute, we're only going to do one set of 8. So we kind of have the right leg out, right arm up, and we're going to crunch into the side. So the elbow comes to the knee for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From here, before we go do this on the other side, the standing leg is what's killing me right now. So I'm going to use the number 4 stretch on that side. So we're going to cross one leg over the other, and come into a nice little number 4 stretch here. Stretch out all those muscles right around that hip joint. And then we'll set ourselves up for the other side. All right, move your roller over to the other side if you want to use that for balance. And that same thought pattern that we used before, we've got our weight shifted into the right foot, engaging all those muscles, pulling up, taking the pressure off that knee. Shoulders are back and down, core is engaged. We shift our weight just so slightly to this side of the body. Hand is on that hip to make sure we're not hiking the hip to start with, and we just slide that flexed foot out and in, and 2, and 3, 4, 5, it's not fast, it's controlled, 6, 7, 8, one more set. Everything about Pilates is control, which is why when it was first originated by Joseph Pilates, it was called contrology, because it's about controlling the movements of the body. We got 3 left, 2, 3, and now we're going to shift if we need to set ourselves up for that little side crunch. So the arm comes out, leg comes out, and we knee to elbow, and 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Taking that number 4 stretch on that standing leg on this side. Ooh, man, that is really intense. You might find one side is a little bit harder or tougher or whatever than the other. This is going to be the opposite for me. Usually it's my left side. Today the right side is killing me. I wouldn't say it's killing me, but it's definitely saying, Jess, you did some work. All right, one more set of leg focus things. So we've got all these upper legs, inner legs, all that stuff done, right? So let's work on a little bit of ankle work. This roller can be here for stability again. So we're gonna make sure our feet are about 2/5 distance apart. So if you have to come down and measure, put your 2 fists there, and that's about where we want them for this. So that's kind of your hip width distance apart that we talk about. So we're gonna pop up onto the balls of the feet, not letting your feet flop out like so or inward, just nice and even. Then we're gonna bend at the knees, let the heels come back down, straighten the knees. So we're doing 6 this way, and then we'll do a little bit different. So up, bend, down, straighten. That was 3, 4, 5, heels up, knees bend, heels down, straighten. That was 6. So now we're going to reverse that, and we're going to knees bend first, pop the heels while the knees are bent, straighten the knees, lower the heels. That's 1. We're going to do 6 of these. Bend, pop, straighten, drop. That was 2, 3, 4, 5, last one, I'm cracking and popping all over here, 6. All right, let's stretch those quads one more time because I'm feeling the need for that. So we're going to bring those knees close together, turn to the side so you can kind of see what that looks like. So we bring that foot behind us. We don't fall over, oh my goodness. Clearly not using my balance prop for the right way. And then bring that down, and we're going to do the other side. So today is actually Mother's Day. I'm filming here on Sunday, so happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I hope that you are showered with love and affection from all your loved ones. You deserve it. Being a mom is not an easy job, but it is the most rewarding job. All right, let's come on down. We're gonna get that roller out of the way for a second. We're gonna work our way down to the mat. Get a little yoga flow to get there. So find our way to the back of the mat. Breathing in, hands come up. Do our roll down. Feel the nice length. Let your head hang. Come up half flat back so the hands can come to the shins, and just feel the length from head to tail here, like you're a tabletop. And then back down. Walking it out through to plank. Pushing from plank up into down dog and walking those heels so you can get a stretch along the calves. Tails up to the sky, heads between the biceps. Settle that in. Coming back through to plank, we're going to slowly lower ourselves down to the mat, pushing up through cobra. Coming down, tucking the toes through plank, back into that down dog, static down dog this time. And then take your gaze up between your hands and either hop or walk your feet to come between those hands and enjoy that forward fold. Let the head hang heavy. We're going to come down, bringing our roller with us. We're almost done. We got to stretch those deep psoas muscles. We used them so much throughout this class today. Pop your hips up. Take your legs up to the sky. And just catch your breath. We're going to bring one knee into the chest, hugging that in, pointing that other toe, letting that long leg just go down toward the mat. And that's where we can feel that nice deep stretch happening through the hips. Couple deep breaths here. Bringing both feet back up through center, switching, the opposite knee hugs into the chest, other leg is long, and we let it go float its way down to the mat. And a couple deep breaths here. Hugging both knees in. Maybe just kind of let them go in a little circle, get a little lower back massage. One way and the other. And then we'll put our feet down, pop our hips up off the roller, roll that out of the way, come up to a seated position, but we're going to sit on that roller, do a little bit more. So, however you want to get on it, we're going to come up to seated on that roller. We've done a couple number 4 stretches, but I feel like you can never have too many. So we're going to cross the leg. Obviously, that's for me. For you, it might be different, so listen to your body. And we're just going to kind of fold into that number 4 stretch, feeling all of those leg muscles kind of give a little bit of relief. And if it feels good, you can kind of roll to that knee bent side and just kind of roll into those muscles on the side leg that we worked in that standing work. If that doesn't feel good, just bring it back through center and hold the number 4 stretch. And then come back through. I like to do one more little forward fold to see if I got a little bit more release on that, and I did. Unfold that leg, cross the other one, and just bending into it as far as it feels good. Always breathing. And again, if it feels good, we roll a little bit to the side and get a little bit of extra oomph in this release from the roller. And back through center. Again, if you want a little bit, one last little tug into the number 4. And then you're gonna put your legs in a comfortable position, whether that's cross-legged sitting on the roller or out in front of you, whatever you want. We're gonna get some spinal rotation and then a couple deep breaths and call it good. So sitting up nice and tall, we're gonna breathe in through the nose. Hands come together through heart center all the way down, twisting to the right side of the body or left, whichever one you prefer to start with, and then separate those hands. One comes to the knee, the other comes behind you. You might not reach the ground, that's okay. It can just kind of come onto your back, your low back, and just enjoy this twist. On the next exhale, sweep the arms out to the side, up overhead. Exhale through heart center, twisting in the opposite direction. Hands come apart, one to the knee, one to the low back behind you. I don't want you to try to reach the floor with that roller underneath you because you'll get in an awkward position, which is not going to help us. Just enjoying the twist. And back through center. Eyes closed or open, whichever you prefer, and hands can either just be here on your lap, or you can join me with the expression of hands overhead. We're going to breathe in through the nose, up, and exhale down. In and up, and down. Last one here, in and up, and exhale down. That's all we have for you today. Hope you enjoyed. Again, it wasn't an easy class, but it was definitely something to challenge your body, to shake things up a little bit, and just start to feel good and feel that strength and that power and kind of just seize the day, right? So take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.